Sitting here with my friends from Authentico Tequila. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Again, glad you guys are closer here in Florida now, so we'll get to hang out a lot more, which
Yes,
is
we're excited, definitely.
So share war stories.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, just want to learn more about you guys and how you started the business and the distillery that you work with, your master distiller, their family. So wherever you guys want to kick off, just,
For sure.
let's hear it.
Hit it off?
Well, it's a long story because we've been together for about 17 years, but our journey started at University of Kansas, where actually we kind of helped build the entrepreneurship program for the university. And, we had a lot of fun in college and we socialized, but it was entrepreneurship that really got us going. And we helped them kind of develop this program that we reached the end of. And they're like, well, we can't give you a degree because no one's ever done all these classes. And so we're like, well, we need to get some type of degree out of this. And so we were the first 2 students to ever graduate with that degree. And we didn't really know where that would take us, but Paige has been going to Mexico her whole life. And so that always became a part of our tradition as, college kids going to spring break, doing whatever. And over time, as we got older, we started falling more in love with going and seeing the art galleries, the food, the tequila, and all that coming to be a part of our family traditions and everything. Paige's dad has a history with Mexico of going there since he was like 17, trains, buses, whatever he could to get from University of Arizona down to Puerto Vallarta.
Slept on the beach, got woken up by rifles every morning because he couldn't afford any hotel rooms or anything. So he just rolled out his good old sleeping bag on the beach and his guitar, and then he played guitar all day in town. And then pretty much whatever he made, he would then take it and go buy some tequila and beer with it.
Yep, him and his buddies. Yep, and so that kind of fast forward to be a part of our foundation. And Paige and I eventually started our first company called Festi Besti, which is a music festival, fashion-inspired brand, and really focused on being the e-commerce side to shopping that type of fashion, which is why we have mad respect for you guys and what you're doing with e-commerce from one e-commerce geek to another. Not saying you're a geek or anything, but the way you guys do your email marketing, the way that your shop's set up, that's all stuff that we pay very close attention to detail because that's kind of where we got our chops in our first business run. And then from there, I started making a cocktail in Mexico called Freshie, and we just called it Freshie. And it got really popular at the music festivals with our friends, our family in Chicago. And people who never really drank tequila, they're wine drinkers, bourbon, beer drinkers. They're like, what is this solo cup cocktail you guys are making? And from there, we just kept growing it, and more people that came around us saw how tequila kind of changes the vibe. It's a more kind of upper vibe. It's more positive. We found that there wasn't much drama going on. Everyone seemed to feel better. Their health, knowing that there's only like a few ingredients going in that cocktail. So from there, we just knew that we had something special when so many people were reaching out about that drink. And that's what really started this whole journey with tequila is we had a family friend who connected us to the Garcia family, Tequila del Señor. And so we went out there for our first trip, just Paige and I solo going out there, and we met with Gabriel Garcia, the youngest son. And he's like, you want to take our good tequila and mix it with sparkling water and put it in a can?
He's like,
I don't know.
He's like, geez, you Americans.
Like, my cousin did send you here, but, I don't know about that idea. Well, I made them that cocktail, and they're like, this is pretty good. And then they gave us the tour. And, at first it was kind of a favor. I'm going to do this favor, look into this cocktail.
Still being protective of their...
Yes,
exactly. Very protective.
And so we walk and do the tour of Tequila del Señor, and they're installing solar panels. And we're like, Gabriel, is that solar panels you guys are doing? They're like, yeah, by a certain date, we want to be 103% actual solar powered, meaning they're giving some energy back to Mexico. But either way, we were trying to be the new wave in the industry as far as trying to be organic, sustainable, and we like to party, but we also like to be healthy and look at those ingredients that we're putting in our bodies. So if you're buying tortilla chips, you only really need to see corn and sea salt in there, not like a whole paragraph. So if that's how we're shopping for food, why can't that be for a cocktail or tequila of choice? And that really started our bond from Gabriel and the Garcias taking on a favor to understand that we are trying to be more in depth with what we're doing and also show respect to Mexico and everything that this distillery has been doing. So that really started that journey, and we launched Freshie in about 4 states. We've produced over 1 million cans of that, and we really wanted to come out with a tequila that could match that clean profile that's in Freshie. And then from there, that's what started the journey to start Authentico.
It was, so all this kind of happened around 2016, 2017. So we call it the seltzer revolution, if you will. That was kind of when like White Claw and Truly was coming out, and it was all junk pretty much. And so we knew that we were onto something. There was never have at that time been a spirit seltzer that has come out. And so it's around 2017 when we finally got everything figured out with the distillery, and then it didn't take until, it took until it was actually December of 2020. It was January of 2020.
Our first shipment came in. Yes.
So what a
December
beautiful
2020.
time to launch your first like really exciting business. And it was the heart of the pandemic. We were living in Chicago and everything was closed down. It was cold, it was snowy, but everyone was still drinking. So Ryan and I were literally going ourselves to all the mom and pop shops and telling our story and saying why we're different than, the Trulies and the White Claws. And of course, High Noon had to come out right before us as well. So we were trying to be the first spirit seltzer, and we weren't, but we were darn close, that's for sure. And we started seeing how the community really did be like, this is amazing that you're doing something that's more health driven in the alcohol industry, which, legally we can't really say that. But when people started to drink it, they were like, wow, you do feel so much better. Like, it does feel so much cleaner. I feel better the next day. Mm-hmm. And then, like Ryan was saying, that was another moment in our life where we're like, well, what if we take one step forward and come out with our own tequila brand that is organic. And then all of a sudden we met up with Jay Bear, who is a tequila educator and influencer. And he was like, you guys are doing everything that is spot on that consumers are looking for. Have you looked into additive-free brands yet? It's not really well known. Like, it was probably 2021 when he started bringing this up. There was very, very few brands that were available then. And the ones that were actually really expensive. And Ryan and I, we're entrepreneurs, so we don't, have a lot of money to spend, but we love trying good tequila. But we're like, we just honestly can't really afford all these bottles of additive-free tequila. So we're like, what if we come out with an organic, additive-free tequila line that's affordable? It's good enough quality for people like Jay Bear and like the tequila connoisseurs to be like, man, this is delicious. But also, it's a great tequila for the people that are just getting into this category. And we really do want to bring awareness to this incredible category and being additive free, because it is the way traditional tequila is made. Mm-hmm. Water, agave, and yeast. And we just got so far from that. And everyone, really liked the Casamigos and the vanilla and everything. And I'm like, do you understand how much is going into that bottle that is artificial, between the coloring and the glycerin and the flavors? It really is not real tequila. So that's when we kind of set out to make Authentico. And even our distillery at first was like, you want your price point to be what? And they're like, that's so low. But we're like, we just want to be the everyday tequila that people grab for when it comes to sipping, mixing, or having on their bar cart. When friends and family are over, I don't want to be like, don't touch that bottle. That's that's my nice
stuff.
bottle. That's my good stuff. And then you see them like pouring it and making cocktails. I'm like, oh my gosh, exactly. But that was honestly our main mission with Authentico, was to come out with an additive-free, organic, and extremely price-friendly brand. And so here we are. We are a little over a year old, and we are officially in 10 states. And by the end of February, we will be in 13 states, and we plan to go to another 5 more before the end of 2025.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything you guys have done. Even just from, I always look at like the aesthetics of the bottle, and a lot of bottles. You can look at the shelf, right? A lot of bottles. A lot of them are fairly similar in height and shape, but I think what you guys have done as far as branding, the colors, just the label in general, like, it makes the bottle stick out no matter what.
Well, we appreciate that. We really do, because truly, once again, when we set out, we knew that we didn't want a fancy bottle, we didn't want a fancy label, we didn't want celebrity backing, even though we had people being like, if you just get a celebrity, your brand will blow up. We're like, that's not why we're in this.
Now, if you are a celebrity, we would love for you to drink.
Yes,
so hit us up. Yes,
definitely.
But I think that's how you do it, right? That's how you keep it affordable. That's how you keep it, getting it into more people's hands. Is you can take a standard bottle, but make it look the way you did, and you can definitely. I can see the freshy vibes coming over into this bottle, into this brand. So you guys did a great job.
Well, thank you. And another thing that we did some research on was we asked a lot of bartenders, "What's your favorite bottle?" And they literally pointed out ones that they hated, and they're like, "When I'm in a rush and I'm grabbing this bottle and I'm pouring a cocktail, I'm always spilling something." He's like, this bottle, the neck is perfect for, on premise and for mixologists to use. So that's another reason why we chose the bottle that we did.
That's awesome. So I see you guys have a Cristalino. So what made you guys go down the path and then jump over to a Cristalino?
Well, we kind of started, at first we didn't even know what a Cristalino was until we started going to the clubs in Mexico. Like I said, we are very, health conscious, we eat clean, we try to drink clean, but we also have some fun. And we started noticing that some of the clubs in Mexico were ordering Cristalinos. And we were like, what is this? We've never even heard of this expression. And that is when a few people were telling us that this is an expression that a lot of Hispanic people, when they do go out drinking, they want something that's a little cleaner, lighter, and they're able to, drink more of it, if you will. And so that's when we were like, tell me more. So that's when we went to our distillery. Yep. We asked about, how do we come up with a Cristalino? We actually went back to Jay Bear and we asked him, we're like, do you think that it would be smart for us to do this expression? There's not many brands doing it. Mm-hmm. And he said, yes, I think that would be a really wise decision for you guys to do that. Cristalino's not on the map yet, but eventually it will be.
Definitely. And from the business side, as a young brand, we're coming out, we got the Blanco, where it all starts with the Blanco. That Blanco turns into our repo, and shelf space is so important too in the industry. So if we could quickly launch with 3 bottles on the shelf, that was a huge upside from the business perspective. And so that repo just becomes that Cristalino. Now we have 3 different expressions that people can try, and everything that the Garcias do, they don't do it like half-assed. They go full in. If we're going to be organic and sustainable, there's certain things that we want on our bottle or whatever, like that's not sustainable, and so they'll hold us to it. And so when it came time to do a Cristalino, they have done their own Cristalino in the past, but they're like, to make an organic and additive-free Cristalino, no one's really doing that, and we're one of the only ones that are both of those features. So it was just a way to get more people to try it, and also to kind of be outside of the box and share that new expression. If we are trying to be accessible to the new generation of tequila drinkers, but also check the boxes of the tequila aficionados as well, it's a good way to be a part of that new wave too.
Nice.
And our distillery loves a challenge, and they're like, a lot of the Cristalinos that are currently out there are just so muted in taste. Like, that's why a lot of people believe that this category really should not exist. So when we told them this is what we want to do, they got all excited. They took about a year and a half to create this tasting profile, and I do believe that when people try Authentico Cristalino, they are blown away because of how much flavor is truly in it. I mean, just 2 weekends ago at the SIP Festival, there were several people that were like, I don't even want to try a Cristalino. And I'm like, just do me a favor and just try a little bit.
There's no abomination. It's still art. It's tequila.
Literally. And I love when they sip it and they look at me. They're like, damn, that is good. They're like, that has a lot of flavor in it. It is just so full body and delicious. And that's exactly what we're trying to hear from people, is that it is full body and not muted at all in flavor, which is what you'll find a lot in Cristalinos.
Yeah. We also find that the people that maybe like, oh, I've had a bad night on tequila, which is a whole nother story of why we don't want that to be for people. But the people who are really scared of tequila or who don't necessarily drink tequila, the Cristalino is like one that they try and hold on, I can drink this one. And so it's an easy way to step them into the category.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, and you guys it's not on the table, but you guys have an añejo.
Yes.
That has just landed in the States. We're excited to get our hands on it. So tell me a little bit about that, like aging process, barrels.
Yeah.
Love to learn more about that. I mean, I know we don't have it, but.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you guys were actually 2 weekends ago at the festival. We're the very first people to debut our añejo, and everyone was really excited about it, and we got amazing feedback, so thank you for that. But our añejo is delicious. It is, once again, not to try to keep saying it's unlike all the other brands out there, but when you see it, it's very, very light in color, and that is because we are using brand new American oak barrels with a light to medium char. So that is why our coloring is so light, also because we are additive free. It's a minimum of 14 months. Our master distiller, Don Manuel Garcia, he will never pull from a barrel until the tasting profile is exactly where he wants it. And so that's where we land on about a 14-month añejo. And it's important to know that, we are not a contract brand with our distillery. We are 50-50 partners in this. So when people always ask, well, where's your añejo? And I'm like, well, when we started this company, we had to barrel it. So that's why we couldn't just come out with, all 4 expressions at once. So this is really exciting for us to be launching it on March 1st. And we hope to be doing it exclusively with you guys.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited. I think going back, and mentioned the master distiller, I always love to hear the stories of, I know that there was the back in 2016 to 2018, right? But like, those are families that have been doing this for a very, very long time.
Yes.
I know with all of our trips down there, we were probably down there at the same time because we launched this business in 2018, but we were down there from
crazy.
2016 to 2018, getting to know a lot of these families. And they were, we have our own like private label for the store. So we went down there to create our own brand of tequila. And then we came back, rewrote the entire business plan to create siptequila.com because all those trips were like, wow, there's so many brands down there that aren't in the States yet. So we still have our own private label, but we said, let's showcase all the brands that are in Mexico. But getting to know those families down there, like that was the important part. Like
So inspiring.
We were like, I always say like we had to date the families
You
of
do.
these distilleries
Yes.
down there for months, if not years, before they'll put something on paper for you. So I'd love to hear just a little bit about that story because I've heard a lot of different brand stories, but they're all different, they're all unique. So I'd love to just hear
yes.
that.
I mean,
So.
just first and foremost, I will never forget it when we first went there for the first time. They're showing us all around the distillery and doing a tour and all that. And then they're like, let's go to lunch. And we're like, okay, great. So we're just thinking, just a normal lunch, we're going to talk business. And they throw down 2 bottles of tequila. And I swear it was a test. It was like, can these people drink good tequila and how much? And can they walk out of here pretty normal?
Right. Yeah.
And it was
go back to a business meeting.
and then
after
go
that.
back to a business meeting. And it was at that moment, I remember it was like in the middle of that lunch, we just met this amazing family, the Garcias, who have been in the industry for 80 plus years, making some of the best tequila, I believe, out there right now. And it wasn't until we literally just sat down at that table, drank a lot of tequila, just really shared a lot of family, intimate stories. There really was no business talk at that time. They were like, let's put all the business aside. Let's get personal here. We want to know about, I want to know about your family. I want to know about you and Ryan. Do you guys have kids? What's your passion like? What do you guys do for activities? Like, it was about a 3-hour lunch where
Do you like crickets on your guacamole?
Oh, found that out the hard way. Literally, we're like, this is so good. He's like, oh, so you do like crickets. I'm like, what? Come again?
I thought those were French onion
do
crickets.
now.
Yeah, exactly. So there were a lot of things that happened at that lunch that kind of like, we had like our breakthrough. And then I remember leaving that lunch being like, man, we feel so good. I mean, we just drank a lot of tequila. We just had an amazing conversation. We feel so good. And then we got back at the distillery, and I remember them just like looking in our eyes, and we're like, you guys are like the real deal. You're not just coming here just to buy our tequila and slap a label on it. You truly want to be like family, and you guys want to be partners, and you guys want to do this together. And like, we made sure to tell them, like, in all the paperwork and all of our contracts, we are 50-50 partners, like truly when it comes down to that.
And as designers or as social media people or whatever, our goal is always to tell their story. And we are maybe the hosts of the talk show here, but we're here to tell their story. And whether it was Freshly or now Authentico, that is the ethos of the brand, is to one, spotlight Don Manuel Garcia, who not many people in the States know about him, and he's one of the great Grand Tequileros of Mexico. So just to be able to spread their story and make them feel proud when they look at the Authentico brand and feel like it's exciting, and they could trust us with the branding and the style of the brand and how it feels when people look at, grab it, take pictures. We always want to make our packaging Instagrammable so it pops, on social media. And really what that gives them is trusting us from the marketing side, but then we trust them on the production side, the liquid
Definitely.
side. Obviously, we have pretty good palates, and we go back and forth and work together on everything that they do, but really we kind of have our lanes that we both are proud to stick in and know that they want to give us the best juice in the bottle, so we're proud of that, and we want to give them the best packaging and branding and feeling when customers touch this brand.
And that's kind of exactly why we came up with the name Authentico, is because we wanted to be authentic, and we wanted to honor the Garcia family and really bring their amazing tequila to the States. And so when we told them that, they're like, we love this. Like, we have had a lot of people come through this distillery. We see that there's an uptick in tequila in the States, and we don't really like to work with many people. They're very like secretive and intimate, and I love how you said that you felt like you had to date, because it probably was 3-4 trips down to Guadalajara, having these lunches, having these power moves, business moves, where we're like, are we ever going to actually start to make this tequila? And it truly was like, we're just feeling you out right now to see if we really want to do business together.
Yeah, that's what we did. It was, we went down there. My co-founder is my uncle, so it's my uncle and I. He's based in Chicago, so we went down there, and then we flew their family up to Chicago. My wife and I flew there. Then we flew our wives down to Guadalajara.
We did the exact
And then
same
we
thing.
sat in their kitchen in Guadalajara. The wife made a big dinner. All the kids came over, grandkids, and we signed the contract at the kitchen table.
That's
do
amazing.
work. It's such a good, and again, every brand kind of has that story. There are brands that don't have that story. but,
Exactly.
that's kind of cool. How the name, I love the name, how it plays together with like the story starting back in 2016 and Freshie and then Authentico.
Yes.
And, that's the important part. And to your point, you want to share that story too, not just, your side. You want to share their passion because they've been doing it for a while.
They've been doing it for a
80-something
long
years.
time. Yes, exactly. And it's so true. Like when we would go to Guadalajara and have those meetings, and they would come back to Chicago because that's where we were living, and they would stay at our house. Like there was no we're putting you up at a hotel. It was like, no, you're going to be my childhood bedroom,
Yeah.
and then my dad's going to make you eggs in the morning.
Awesome.
And so that's how it was, and we loved it. I mean, we had
Don't
awesome.
forget Timmy T's hash browns. He
My
always
dad,
makes the good
yeah.
hash browns too.
But we had a lot of late nights in our living room, just drinking some delicious tequila and just telling stories. We're just storytellers.
Especially Don Manuel.
Oh, yes.
You have your lunch or whatever, and you've had your couple sips here and there, and feeling kind of good, looking out at the distillery, and he'll just come up and give one-liners of different history that he's worked with other brands. So Tequila del Señor means tequila of the Lord. So Don Manuel believes that even though he's gifted to have this expertise, it's not his to own. So when other big brands have reached out to him, he doesn't hold his knowledge to himself. He's more than happy to share when he's helping other companies that have set up their facilities and things like that. And some of the stories he just says, and his outlook on life is amazing. And his fashion is pretty amazing too. I'm talking the best corduroys and vest game that you've ever
his
seen.
vest game's awesome.
Oh, and a beautiful mustache too.
Yes, and we always say that he is your master distiller's
Favorite
master distiller because he tells us all these crazy stories that go all the way back to like 1960 and 1950s, and those were the good stories, and how it all kind of started off by he started being a car mechanic.
Yes, I actually was going to tell the story.
Go
Do you
for
want
it.
to do it?
Go for it. You can.
So this is actually how Don Manuel took over or start working for his father, who started the distillery. Don Manuel was
1943.
obsessed with Porsches and Volkswagens, and so he just wanted to be a Volkswagen mechanic and do that. And he's like, I just want to work until I could buy my first Beetle or my first Bug,
Yep.
And so his dad's like, I really need your help, son. We're starting to grow, and tequila's going out to all these countries now. It's not just a Mexico thing; it's more. And so Don Manuel's like, well, Dad, if I come work for you, I'm saving up to get a Beetle. And he's like, son, I'll get you the Beetle that you want. And so Don Manuel shows up to the distillery the next day or whatever, and there's the red Beetle waiting for him.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, from there, Don Manuel used some of his mechanic mind to fix different parts of the distillery that might need to be fixed or make it better and streamline it. So his dad comes from heritage, like Prohibition style, like distilling. Like they still have all of their everything, all their old coffee machines, telephones. Like their museum is really cool, and obviously all their old distillery equipment. But from there, he kind of helped transition TDS to be this very traditional distillery to kind of transitioning into also being a distillery of the future. And they still do that, like following traditional methods, but then thinking about being solar powered or organic, or they're also zero carbon footprint, and they're possibly one of the most sustainable distilleries in Mexico, if not one of the most sustainable in the whole world.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That's
So
pretty
to
impressive.
be like an old distillery the way they are, and so honoring traditions, but also being so new wave, which is so incredible. I mean, like our roller mills, for example, is literally ran by our solar panels and things like that. So
But it's from the 1800s.
But from the
so.
1800s,
That's so crazy.
so
Yeah.
it is wild
It's a
how I'm
German
like,
mill.
how did you guys even figure that out? Like how to transition it from like
Well,
literally
we're definitely
gas
gonna have
to
to
that.
go. When you're talking about your trips and
Yeah.
stuff, we'll definitely have
yeah.
to go. Last time we were there, it's been a minute, unfortunately, since we've had our baby girl and everything, and we've been working hard here. But last time we were there, we had a huge dinner, and we're cooking steaks and veggies and just hanging out. And they busted out some red wine. I'm like, I'm still on my tequila.
Yeah,
Like, listen,
right.
we don't just drink tequila. We like the red wine too.
Definitely.
That's good. So what's next? Extra Añejo coming down the pipeline after Añejo, or what do you guys
So-
got in your back pocket?
That's kind of like the grand question.
Yeah.
After we kind of left the SIP Festival, we had this idea of maybe coming out with some like Rosa or something like that. So we don't really know because we've been working so hard on the Añejo and launching that. And since it's finally here, it literally landed in the States. Like our full pallets all landed about 2 days ago here in the States. So that's our main focus. But yeah, we're definitely thinking what is next. And that's me and Ryan's like, that's what we always do. We're always thinking ahead. What are we going to do in 2, 3, 4 years? We did talk about possibly doing a single barrel in the next year or so. So that might be first, definitely. And then we also would love to do a high proof.
Okay, yeah, those will all be super successful.
Oh, yeah.
We would love that.
For sure.
Tequila Del Señor also makes a really delicious coffee, like a tequila coffee liqueur, and they actually help Patron make Patron XO. And so they have a great recipe on that. And we know how big tequila espresso martinis are now.
Oh, yes.
So the Cristalino and espresso martini, and so who knows? There's lots of things, like the Willy Wonka factory over there, of what could happen. I know.
Cool to like working with them too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With them, brainstorming, seeing what you guys come up with together. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
When we made the Cristalino, we drank probably like every Cristalino.
Literally.
And we just, actually Jay was with us on that one, Jay Bear, and we were at the whole family and Paige's dad and us. Paige was pregnant, unfortunately. But we
So that
literally
was
had
fun.
every single Cristalino, and we're trying what we like, what we don't like, and what Don Manuel felt like if he's going to make a Cristalino for Authentico, what he would want it to be.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Well, I will say you guys are doing all the right things. So
Thank
I think
you.
from our standpoint, we love working with brands and doing things like this, and looking forward to tonight supplier showcase here, where we can showcase you guys, your brand, master distiller, like that. That's what we want in brand partners. So I will say you guys are high up on the list there of love working with you guys, and glad you could be at Sip Tequila Fest and
Right back
be here
at
today,
you.
and just excited for the future. And you guys have the passion and the drive, and again, there's a lot of brands that will come to us and want to be and partners with us, but it's like we have to work together.
Exactly.
It's 50-50
It's a
to your point.
relationship.
Like the contract and with your distiller, we look for the same thing, because we have brands that are like, here's our product, go sell it. It's like we're not a Total Wine, we're not a Binny's. Like, we want to be a brand partner on both sides, so 50-50. So we want to educate people from our side, but also have you guys be able to educate as well and tell your story. So can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this today.
Well, we
And-
can't thank you
salute.
enough for
Cheers.
building out this
Yes, we appreciate
community,
it.
because truly
so
this
much.
agave community, there is nothing like it. And for you guys to be able to do what you do and bringing all of us brands together, we have been on a high for truly 2 weeks after
That's
that
awesome.
festival.
Yes,
and
awesome.
being with like-minded people, all in the same room, we're all doing the same thing, and we're not competitors. Like
Right.
that was like the beautiful part. It's not
Yep.
like, oh, the person right next to Authentico is our competitors. That's not at all. That's
Right.
our friend. That's our
Yep.
family. We are on the sidelines being like, you go. Like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
are standing behind you. We'll do anything that we can to support brands.
Yeah.
Ryan and I love trying all kind of tequilas, and we always put it on our story, like trying this tequila. And everyone's like, whoa, like
Yeah.
you're like putting other brands on your stories or on your pages. Like, don't you want to just talk about Authentico? And we're like, no, because
Right.
we want to bring awareness to the additive-free
Yeah.
community and what is happening in front of our eyes. And it's just so special, and we're so grateful to be included in it. And you truly are the one that is like behind all of this. So thank you to
Thank
you,
you.
Keith.
Cheers.
Truly.
Thank you.
Cheers again.